सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So, just to look ahead a little bit, this is the, today we will do Karika number 9 of the first Prakarana, the Agama Prakarana that we are doing. So this is the last of the 3 set of shlokas that Sri Gaudapadacharya ji has composed for us in the form of a Karika, which, as you know, the purpose of which is to ask us to do vichara, purposeful inquiry, a careful analysis of the topic of Shrishti. Shrishti meaning our thoughts on creation. Because as you become an adult, that doesn't happen in teenage and so on, but as you launch your life in the 20s and you've finally taken the steps about going to college and then finding a job and so on, then the questions start to arise in your mind. What is this whole world all about? What is this creation? Who did the creation? For what purpose was this creation made? So this is a guided tour of those kinds of thoughts. So this is what we're doing. So after this, I just want to give you a preview of what is going to come. After the 9th Karika, this section will be over, and what will begin will be an examination of the 4th step that we are asked to take in order to understand the whole thing very clearly. We've already taken the first 3 steps, Prathama Padaha, Dvitiya Padaha, Tritiya Padaha. Then the last step, which now is going to be examined, and it will culminate in the 7th mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad, Nanta Pragya, Na Baish Pragya, etc. That is the main mantra, which is the crux of the Mandukya Upanishad. So we're going to do that at some point in time. But before that, what the Karika is going to do, and what Swami Akhandananda is actually going to do, is to follow the introduction to the seventh mantra with the help of Adi Shankara's Bhashya. And that section, I was just looking at it just in the last few days, it's pretty lengthy, but very comprehensive and very beautiful. So we will embark on that after we finish today's Karika. Okay? Then it will prepare us to properly think about the ninth mantra, which will happen in several weeks. I don't know when, but that's okay. We are not in a rush. That's what will happen. So, it was interesting. I just want to make one point. I recall that when I had decided to embark on this Mandukya Karika course about a year back, can't believe today is this 57th class in this. I remember this, I recall this. A couple of you had written to me separately saying, I thought we had done this just a few years ago, Mandukya Karika. And they wanted to understand, why are we doing it again? Shouldn't we be doing some other texts? We have so many other texts to do, etc. Why can't we do this? Why are we doing this? So I'm not sure that I've given you a very clear answer, but let me attempt to do that. So I think in my you remember the analogy I had given, which Swami Akhandananda actually had suggested, a very beautiful analogy, that knowledge about yourself, even about your body and so on, it can be done and is done, should be done in two stages. So one stage is what would be called indirect knowledge. The other stage is direct knowledge. In Sanskritam, it is called paroksha jnanam, means indirect knowledge, and aparoksha jnanam means direct knowledge. So if you recall, we had given this example. Again, I borrowed this from Swami Akhandananda's teaching, that when a child is to be taught the various parts of one's anatomy, how is that done? So usually what they will do is to take a picture book where all the parts have a picture on it. So mouth, ears, nose, eyes. And the mom and dad will again and again say, this is a nose. Nose. So that means that there is a connection between the picture of the nose and the sound nose. That connection has to be made. And it has to be done through some repetition. It cannot be just quickly done, okay, this is a mouth, this is a nose, this is a nose, this is... No. You have to really do this. And the child also is, or the thoughts are going all over. But with repetition, he gets it. Yeah, this is... Then they ask him, what is this? And the child will say, nose. Parents feel very happy. Good, got it. Is this done? No. Because this is still indirect knowledge, paroksha jnanam. The direct knowledge is, what is this? You ask the child, what is this? The child will say, I don't know what you're talking about. You've never taught me this. Because you've taught me what the pictures of the anatomy are, but I have no idea. And so now a direct knowledge has to be given, which will say, nose. See this nose? Nose. Mouth. Then you now have the completeness of what is required to be done. Okay. So then the doctor will say, I'm going to examine your nose. Then the child doesn't say he's examining the picture there. It says, no, he's examining my nose. This is direct knowledge. So interesting thing happened. Really, how your own development of understanding. These are very subtle things that do not lend into casualness. It has to be understood properly. So in the my own, I'm just giving you my own life and my own evolution of how I started to understand this thing more clearly. I think each of the acharyas that I have been taught have really given me a closer understanding of what it is all about. And I think I took a big step when I discovered Mahatma's texts in my own mother language. That was a big step that happened about, I don't know, 2007, 2006, quite a long time because I struggled with reading texts in Shankara Bhashya, understanding Sanskrit, and it got better and better, but it took a big step thanks to the my really looking for. I started asking is, are there Mahatmas that have written in Hindi? And with some friends, my Swami friends and other friends, and I think Swami Viditatmananda was very clear about it that yes, and he even told me which ones to go. That was a big thing. So now I'm sorry I'm taking too long. Let me just give you up because I do want to make a point about this. When we studied the Mandukya Karika, I guess about 4 or 5 years ago, I forget exactly when, with the help of Swami Maheshananda's Hindi books, if you recall, that was a big step for me because I understood what the Karika was all about, what Gaudapadacharya ji is explaining, the dream and comparison of the Jagrat Avastha with the Swapna Avastha, all of that. But when I discovered the books of Swami Akhandananda, and that was only like, I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, although I've had his books, but I've never really perused them, that changed my understanding from Paroksha Jnanam to Aparoksha Jnanam. It's from this is a nose, this to this is a nose. And I could see that happening. And so I was so excited that uh, in the in the treatment of the subject matter by Swami Akhandananda, gave me a very clear idea about what's happening, what's going on. And I was excited to start a new one. So that is really what I'm doing in this, and I'm taking my time to do so. And because it has given me glimpses of the Aparoksha Jnana. It's not, the Nishtha is not quite there, but I'm getting there. And I want to share that with you. And I think this 2-day retreat that we are planning on October the 12th and the 13th, and I have already indicated that in my write-up, but if you're listening to me, then I might as well just tell you, the approach that I'm going to take in that retreat is to present this same material, the entire spectrum of Vedantic understanding as an aparoksha jnana. It'll be different, something different, not just a normal kind of a thing. And in the aparoksha jnanam, of course, it's much more much more sophisticated and very all-encompassing. And so therefore, there have to be some dialogue and doubt remaining and so on, but we'll attempt it. We'll do a good job of it by having several classes where that allows us to do this satsang of question answers. But the idea will be not paroksha jnanam through texts, but an aparoksha jnanam directly from the teacher to the student. Anyway, that's what our plan is. Okay. All right. So let us now look at Karika number 9. So let's enunciate it, chant it, I mean. Bhogartham shishtiti anye क्रीडार्थमिति च अपरे दैवस्य एष स्वभावोऽयम् आप्तकामस्य का स्पृहा भोगार्थं सृष्टिरित्यन्ये क्रीडार्थमिति चापरे देवस्यैष स्वभावोऽयम् आप्तकामस्य का स्पृहा. So the English translation of that is thanks to Swami Paramarthananda. Some people consider that the creation is for the enjoyment of, here he says within parentheses, of the Lord. And we will look into that. We will see what Swami Akhandananda says about enjoyment of whom. Okay, interesting things. But anyway, for now, some consider that the creation is for the enjoyment of the Lord. Others consider, this is the first line, Bhogartham Shristihi Anye. Bhogartham means for the very pleasure of the experience of, for the enjoyment, for the experience. This is the bhogartham. Then kridartham iti cha apare. Apare means others. Consider that the creation is as a sport, like soccer, hockey, football. Again, within parentheses is of what? Now that we will look into that in a minute. So these are the two different, another two reasons for Shrishti. Then it is punctuated by an answer. An answer meaning, what do we think? So far it is all what Shrishti Chintika, all the people who are very involved with Shrishti, what do they think about? We have been doing that from number 7, 8 and 9, remember? Vibhutim prasavam tu anye manyante Shrishti Chintikaha swapnamaya swarupa iti Shrishti anyaihi vikalpitaha इच्छा मात्रम प्रभोः सृष्टिः इति सृष्टौ विनिश्चिताः काला प्रसूतिं भूतानां मन्यन्ते कालचिन्तिकाः. And now भोगार्थं सृष्टित्वन्ये क्रीडार्थमिति च अपरे, all up to this. Then what do we say? What is the real meaning that we take? So, in order to establish that, it says, Devasya esha swabhavoyam aptakamasya kaspriha. This is a very interesting, a very important, very key part of the understanding. The word swabhava. We've already done that in many of the classes, but in the context of this Vichara on Shrishti, it would be good to review what is meant by Swabhava. So it says, what desire is possible for the ever fulfilled? Apta kamasya ka spriha. Spriha means a desire. I mean, not just a casual kind of thing, but something that you really want to do. How is that possible for someone who is aptakamaha? Aptakamaha means one who is completely fulfilled. This is the nature, means svabhavaha. This is the punctuation. It is the whole creation is actually a swabhava of the Ishvara. So please remember this, and we will comment on it at the appropriate time. Anyway, so this is the ninth Karika. All right. So let's look into that now. So up to now, before number 9, number 7 and 8, those two, was to examine the nature of the creation, right? And it is pointed out that people take Srishti to be there. Of course, we see it. So it has to be taken to be there. I won't use the word real or non-real, but it is there. It has to be explained. What is the nature? What is the cause of it? What is the cause-effect relationship? This is what was done here. Now, in this particular Karika, it is not the cause-effect, not the nature, but the purpose of it. Now, this is the beauty about this Karika is all about, okay, I understand the nature of the Srishti, but why is it there? For what? Everything has to be there for a purpose. What is the purpose of the Srishti? Here, there are two sets of explanations, so let's examine them. So, the first one is that it is for the enjoyment. So here, the question is enjoyment for whom? So here in the explanation, the very detailed explanation, very clear explanation of Swami Akhandananda, he says it is for the enjoyment of the jivas. What is even meant is here, not the enjoyment of Ishvara, but for the enjoyment of jiva. How? We will now look into that. Even this is an important thing. It is meant for you and I, not for the Ishvara. And as you and I are nothing but the part as a aspect of the nature of Ishvara, we're not apart from the Ishvara. We are waves of the ocean, and the whole ocean, it really is just waves. So from that standpoint, you can say that the enjoyment of not only the jivas, but all of the Ishvara too, as the very nature of the Ishvara. So one can do that. But primarily, we should look into this as an enjoyment of the jivas. Okay. Let's pause for a minute and look back to the nature of Shrishti. Our main objective is to look at the purpose of the Shrishti. But before we look at the purpose of the Shrishti, let's re-examine the nature of the Shrishti, which we have done, but we will compress it for the text, for the context of what we are doing. This is really is, important to understand. The key part word here about the Shrishti that we should see, which is all part of the Swabhava, which will be coming later and so on, is the word seed. Seed. In Sanskrit called bija. In Hindi, bij. Bija. Bija means the seed. Why are we saying what's the importance of this doing that? What we should see is that the entire set of experiences that we have really is characterized by manifestation and unmanifestation of seeds. The seed is at the crux of the creation. Seeds. What do you mean by seeds? Well, we examine that there is a continuous flow of manifestation and unmanifestation of the seed. From a tree comes a tree, from a seed, and from that seed another tree comes, and from that tree another seed comes, and from that seed another tree comes. It goes on and on. Similarly, from human beings, from parents come children, from children becomes parents, from those parents more children come, and you can, okay, so this is another one. Then you have the night and day. At night, you just go into the seed form. In the day, you become an expression like a tree. You go back into the seed form. You back into the. This is a continuous process. So no matter which area you look at, whether you're looking at your genetics, you're looking at the foliage, you're looking at the nature of experiences, the whole thing is nothing but fundamentally a seed. There, the whole thing is nothing but different forms of seeds. Okay? If we accept that and we understand that, then the question is this seed Adi or Anadi? Did it ever begin or not? It's easy to answer this. It cannot have begun because you cannot have something come out of nothing. Not possible. Separate discussion. We have a huge amount of examination of vichara for that. But for this purpose, let's just see. The seed is anadi. Anadi. It just goes on that, and in fact, this is what we should say. We should begin to see the swabhava of Ishvara, swabhava of this whole creation. This is the way it is. And this is the way it is should not be construed as something that we don't know. We don't know what it is. That's not it. In fact, that's a very important distinction between Vedanta and the other schools of thought. Yes, we agree that the seed is unknown. We agree. And unknowable. Because you can never tell when it began. You never tell. Nobody can tell. Nobody can tell. We know that. But, and so this is the swabhava. So then people can say, This is wrong. Our attempt is to know something, to define something, to ascertain something. And now you're saying we don't know. Why are we coming to talk to you? What do you have to teach? Why are you even trying to explain this topic? Let's go someplace else. And they all have theories. Okay? The Sankhyas have a theory. This is Prakriti. You are the Purusha. You are not the Prakriti. And you should understand you are the Purusha. That's it. That's done. Then the yogis say that it doesn't matter whether it is beginningless or not. You just calm your mind and see that you are an independent person. The Buddhists say that it doesn't matter because it's not there. Try to see that it is not there, and in fact, you're right, it is unknowable. So it is not only is it anadi, it is also a mithya. They use the word mithya just like we do. And so stop inquiring into it. That's not it. This is not what we say. Just because it is unknowable doesn't, this is what is called anirvachaniya. We use the word anirvachaniya. So interestingly enough, if you look at the etymology of the word, vachaniya means something very clearly definable, called vachaniya. Anirvachaniya means not clearly definable. So this is the nature of mithya. An ornament is either gold, neither gold nor not gold. You cannot say it is pure gold because it has some form. You cannot say it is not gold. Somewhere in between. Sat asadhyam anirvachaniya. So we say, yes, it is anirvachaniya. But that doesn't mean that there is not something which is vachaniya. You are the vachaniya. All this is anirvachaniya, but you are the vachaniya. That we will examine more clearly, but in the context of this, what we say is, yes, everything, the whole Shrishti is in the form of anadi and mithya and continuous. You can never try to catch the beginning of it, because the beginning means at what time? Oh, the beginning of time. At the beginning of time, was there time or not time? Useless. Cannot do that. Just look at it as kind of like a tamasha, fun. And I can only look at it as a tamasha if I know who I am that is looking at it. That's the separate thing. But at this point in time, this is just anirvachaniya. So now we come into the purpose. So this is the nature. So this whole discussion about the seed had to do with the fact that it is a form of manifestation and unmanifestation, of expression and going to sleep. Waking up, going to sleep. This is what it is. That's the nature of the seed. The whole thing is nothing but a bija. That's it. But that's not what the purpose of this Karika is. The purpose is what is the purpose of this thing? Why is it as a seed? Now we launch into that discussion. So let's look into that. So it is said that the purpose of this creation in the seed form, if you say, which we agree, is to make you manifest. Kind of like, you're asleep, but your mom and dad wake you up so that you can now start to engage with the world, enjoy, hopefully enjoy, not suffer. This is the purpose, to wake you up. I was interesting. I had this comes back to me just as a side. When I was appearing for my high school exam back in 1955, and you know how it is in India. You don't have any mid. Now I guess things have changed. I'm talking about the old days. You have no exam for the whole year, and all of a sudden is a bunch of final exams all thrown at you in a matter of days. This is what happened. So there was no exams the whole year, and then in the final year you had to examine history, geography, science, mathematics, English, all of that, all in a matter of days. And I was staying with my grandparents. My mom and dad were in their own house in Bihar. I was in Amritsar, and my grandmother was taking care of me and really very concerned. My gosh, you've got all these exams, and how are you going to do it? Make sure that you get enough rest, eat well. She was doing all of that. Such a wonderful lady. So one night, I had I had an exam in the morning, and then I still remember there was a geography exam the next morning. And she was saying, how are you going to do this? I said, you don't know, I've already prepared notes and I have to review it. I want to make sure that I review it before I go to sleep. So she says, okay. So she came into my room about 10 o'clock or so before she went to sleep and found that I was dozing off. My books were open. I mean, I recall this scene so vividly. I can even imagine the room that I was in. Amazing. And so she looked at me and she says, oh, poor guy. He's working so hard. So she switches off the light. Because the lights were on, I was still trying to read. And I just dozed off because of tiredness. But she says, so she put the blanket on me and shut off the light. And I tell you, it was a shock to me. The exam was at like 9 o'clock in the morning or something. I wake up in the morning and it is like 7:30, and my books are still open. And I said, oh my God, what happened? I wanted to study the whole night. And this poor woman said, let him sleep. But she then finally woke me up in the morning. He said, hey, wake up, wake up. It's really just that thought came to me. So the parents wake up their children. So similarly, Ishvara wakes up people, gives birth to them so that they can also have a manifestation. And then, of course, gives them rest every night, puts them to sleep, and then wakes them up in the morning. This is a very, I remember Swami Chinmayananda had said that. He says, you know what wakes you up is your past karmas, vasanas. I'm not sure that I had completely understood it, but now I do. That really sometimes you can sleep as much as you like, but your karmas say, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. You got things to do. That's also managed by Ishvara as to what karmas are waking you up, all of that. So now here's the thing. In this context, Swami Ekhananda says, yes, Ishvara has a participation, but this bhoga artham is for the jiva, not for himself. So then I would take issue with the what Swami Paramarthananda has said of the Lord. So Vivekananda says no. It is for jivas that he's doing it. That we wake up, we enjoy, we manifest. That's what this whole life is about. It is not to go to sleep. And even in the Mahapralaya, which happens 100 million years, when everybody is asleep, that's okay too. But at the end of that, all of the previous manifestations re-emerge. So this is Bhogartham is for. So this is why some people say the purpose of creation is for the enjoyment of, you can fill in the blanks. You can, some people say Ishvara, but in the true understanding is from individuals. Okay, so this is the first purpose. Now let's go to the second purpose, the second prayojana. In the second prayojana, he says, there is no reason for bhoga. That's not the main reason. Then what is the main reason? It is for the sport. You can say the sporting is also a form of bhoga, but something different. It's for the enjoyment. It's to keep you entertained. It's for the entertainment. That's a good sport means entertainment. So there is a difference between enjoyment and entertainment. Yes, entertainment is a kind of enjoyment, but slightly different. So the whole realm of sports is as an entertainment. How and why? So again, this interplay between Ishvara and Jiva comes into the picture. And so Ishvara, again, this is where the Srishti comes in, could be considered to be alone and lonely. And in order to play sports, you need another team. You need someone other than you. And if you don't have somebody other than you, then you cannot play sports. You could play maybe solitaire. But even for solitaire, you need to have some cards. I see people playing solitaire in their iPads whenever you are traveling. When you're going by, you're flying and you have to go to the bathroom, and on the way you look at to see what people are watching. It's very interesting. A lot of the people, of course, are watching Bhogartham, for they're watching some movie and so on. So this is called Bhogartham. Or they are playing solitaire by themselves. This is called Kridartham. So Krida means sports. So now, and in fact it's interesting, you remember this remember the mantra from Mandukya Upanishad 3:11. Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vriksham parishwasya jate. Remember this very beautiful, very important verse, that there are two birds sitting on a tree. And this is a definite separate description of who are the two birds. And so Sayuja Sakhaya, they're both friends. And there are two of them. What are the two ones? Ishvara and Jiva. Ishvara and Jiva. And they're always, they work together. And so, in the Gita also, karma and karma phala data. And so that is a partnership. You do some things and you're given the appropriate results for your karma. And the appropriate result giver is not you, but it's somebody who supervises you and adequately compensates you for your work. So this is the combination for sports. So now this has been going on forever. It's been going on forever. Ishvara says, let us play. How does he say he let us play? So here the analogy is hide and seek. Hide and seek. And it is done at an appropriate age. If we have a 3-year-old, so we have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old grandkids. The 1-year-old you cannot do hide and seek because you do not understand it. But for a 3-year-old, you can play hide and seek, and we are beginning to do that. So now we are beginning to do hide and seek with Sanya. By the way, that reminds me, let me take a minute out to tell you about, it's interesting. Many of us don't do something totally unique and original. We don't do that because we are always copying others. It's a discovery rather than an invention. But from time to time you do it. I have come up with a silly invention that I used to do with my own kids. And it works so well that now my kids are doing it with their kids. And I'll tell you what it is if you want to just borrow this. I consider this to be one of my inventions. Nobody had never heard of anybody doing this. So here's what I used to do. And this has to be done for an appropriate age. It cannot be done before that, and then after that you get bored. You cannot do this anymore. Like hide and seek, you cannot do it with a 15-year-old. They'll say, what the heck are you talking about? But for a 3-year-old, it is very appropriate. This is exactly what is being talked about, Kridartha. Ishvara plays with us hide and seek because he thinks this is appropriate for us. And I'll explain how he plays in a minute. But let me go back to my invention. So here's what I did. And if those of you have very small children or grandchildren, you can try this. This works. So I explained to the kids, this is about, I can't do that with my 3-year-old. I think I can start to do it with a 3-year-old. What you do is, you tell them, listen, you are my prisoner. And I am the police. And I have caught you. So the children have to visualize, okay, I am the... So they have to understand what is a prisoner, what's a police. They have to do that. So I said, okay, here's what it is. I catch hold of them, have them sit next to me, and I say, you are my prisoner. Okay? All right, I am tired. And I have a hand over them. And I say, I'm very tired. And I'm going to go to sleep. Okay? But you don't try to escape from me. Is that clear? They'll say, okay, yeah, I won't escape. Okay? And then I start to snore and just pretend I'm really asleep. I can even just let myself go. Then the kids slowly wriggle out of my hand and they run away. And then I wake up and say, what happened? Why did you go? Hilarious. It looks very simple, but try it. It works. You can spend half hour doing this. And the kids will say, again. So you do this. My two sons have said, Dad, this is the best thing that you've done for us. It works with all of our children. So this is a kind of like a sport. So now the question is, how does the Ishvara play this sport with us? Basically, hide and seek. Okay? First of all, he wakes you up, as we have done before. He wakes you up and say, okay, let's start playing. Okay? Try to find me. I'm going to hide. You try to find me. So we start looking for someone to find as soon as we are born. And the way we do that is that we want to try to find a sense of satisfaction. And the satisfaction is fleeting, doesn't last. But we still try to find it. Somewhere or the other, some will be there. And so we get distracted because we are very busy with our lives. We have enjoyment. We go on cruises. We go to movies. We go to restaurants and so on, all in the form of finding some sense of enjoyment. This is how we like to do that. Then we discover this is not lasting. I'm getting old. I want something lasting. Meaning I want Ishvara. Please understand this very well. The quest for something lasting is a quest for Ishvara. And we say, I want to know, where are you? And at that point in time, I start looking for not temporary, but something which works for me. Okay? And this is more reliable. And here now, this hide and seek takes different forms. One of the easiest and the very obvious ones is to just be yourself. Meditation. Now it is becoming more and more popular. I don't know when the word meditation came about, probably imported from India, but now just like yoga, it has become everybody's own property. Meditation. Just be yourself. You feel this really works. I feel good. I can just close my eyes and just collect my thoughts. And this is finding a sense of satisfaction. And here, by the way, you can either look at all these ways of hide and seek, either in the form of having a specific God or no God. It can be either one of them. But it's a hide and seek. So one form, and just look at some of the ways of finding Ishvara. One of them is just meditation. And then you can formalize it through samadhi. You can do yogic samadhi, all the Ashtanga yoga, yama, niyama, asana, pratyahara, etc., pranayama, and it works. It seems to work as though you are finding a sense of lastingness. You're finding Ishvara. Yoga, the yogic system, there is Ishvara. So you do that. So this is one of the. Okay. Then you say, if I cannot find it, can you help me find it? Do you know? This is where all the religious practices come about. Uh, there are there are people who feel, yes, we have seen Ishvara and we can help you find it. So just follow us. It can be in the form of Shaivism, could be any of the forms, both in India and then abroad, Christianity, Islam. Yes, follow us. We know where it is. You may have to wait until next life, but just follow us. So we follow them. We want to find Ishvara. Ishvara is hiding. See, this is the thing. Ishvara is hiding. And you have to find it. It's a hide and seek. It's a form of hide and seek. And so it's exactly like that. You just keep finding it. Then you say it doesn't work. Okay. Samadhi is not working. Following some religious practices, I don't know, it may happen, may not happen. I'm not clear. So they'd say, just call him loudly. Call him. You'll find him. So do bhajans. Do bhajans. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. You just call him, do bhajans. And that seems to, you feel good. Yes, this is working. And then, of course, we will look into it just at the end of that. Why is it not working in a minute? But anyway, this is another one. Okay. Another one is go away from the world. Look at the world as nothing but a distraction. Neti na iti, not this, not this, not this, not this. So just doing that enquiry with the help of texts and so on seems to help. Yes, I can see. And the texts say, you see, it is also very fleeting, just like the enjoyment of eating is also very fleeting. And therefore, the rest of the world is also fleeting. So don't look into that. Just speak. That seems to work. Then another one is where you get desperate and you start crying. You start crying and say, well, I can't find you. I don't know what to do. Help me. Help me. I know you're there, but I don't know where you are. I am submitting myself to it. Seems to help. Then another form is philosophy. This is different from knowledge. Different from knowledge. All these words are important. So philosophy means you have a philosophy that everything around the world is also nothing but Ishvara. Everybody is Ishvara. And my engagement with the right attitude, so I don't have likes and dislikes, this is the end point. This is the end point, and I'm completely in harmony with the world. I don't have any problems. And this is what really this is all about. This is finding Ishvara. The whole thing is nothing but a manifestation of Ishvara, and I understand. I'm accepting it. This is also a form of finding Ishvara. This is also, but this is not yet knowledge. This is still a philosophy. It's a way of life. Okay? So at this point, we are ready to summarize. And so what we have done is, starting with with the shloka number 7, Vibhutim Prasavam, that this is the very Aishwaryam of Ishvara, the whole Shrishti. Means, Vibhuti means that he has the power. Why not? He has the power to do that. Another one is Swapna Maya, that the whole thing is nothing but just like a dream, like a magic show. That's another one. Then there is another one is saying there is no reality to this. This is just a Vijnanamaya or Shunyamaya Buddhist view. There's no reality to it. Just understand there's no reality to it. Another one is Satya Sankalpa of Ishvara. This is his decision. Just accept it. This is the way things are. You know, kind of like what cannot be cured must be endured. That kind of a feeling. Or, as we have seen, Kalaha means it is all the play of time. And Ishvara just sits on the side and watches all the play of time. And just you are just dealt your destiny in a particular time. Now, Swami Karananda says, what we need to examine is the defects in all these kinds of thinking. This is what we have to see. What is the defect? And so he says it's not as though you are trying to be superior to anything. It's not as though you come to a... Vedanta is not proselytizing. You know, you know this very well, that we do not tell someone you are making a mistake. You're making a mistake. Let me tell you what it is all about. This is not how it is taught. So this is a very big topic in the explanation of the first sutra of Brahma Sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Ataha Brahma Jigyasa. Now, therefore, there is a desire to know Brahman. This is the first sutra. So in the explanation of that sutra is, it doesn't mean that you can tell someone, hey, don't you want to be Brahman? Don't you want to, you understand what I'm telling you? You cannot do that. People will say, why? I'm okay the way I am. Why should I listen to you? Then what? When is the Brahma Jigyasa? When someone comes to you. I remember this when I think I've told you this many, many times. Sorry about repeating it. That when I first came to my home after spending 2.5 years at PRC, and I was so excited. I said, oh my gosh, I wish I had time to now talk to everybody. And I started with my own family, my sister, my parents. And of course they were curious to say, so what did you do and why did you take so much time off of work? Took the whole family, and there must be a good reason. Why did you do that? And so I said, well, happy you're asking, let me tell you. I still remember this one time I was talking to my older sister. It was way back in 1982, 83, and after I came back from Piercy. And my sister and I have been very close. We were only 2 or 3 years apart, and we all were best friends. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to tell Didi about all this." And I remember sitting down, and I was so focused and excited and motivated to tell her. And she kept getting interrupted. Some domestic helpful. I said, "Mem Saab, what should we cook for lunch?" And she'll tell me, "Okay, wait a second, let me discussing that." Then a phone call came. Then this. At the end of that, I said, "She's not ready to listen to me." And I stopped telling her. So, Swami Dhananand used to say that. He says, there would be some people who outwardly will say, "Yes, I want to learn," but they're not ready yet. And yet they bring along some friend who wasn't even thinking about learning Vedanta. And they come in and say, "Oh my God, I didn't know this was the truth. Can I learn from you?" That is when it can happen. Otherwise, you cannot teach it to someone and nothing happens. So now, it is what I'm saying is what Sakhandananda ji is also saying, that when we point out the defects of others, it is not to tell them that we are the best, please, because they're not ready to listen to us. Then what? The only thing we can do is when they approach us and say, "This is a very foolproof way of looking at it. It is bhogartha, kridartha, this is the vibhuti, this is," and so on. All we can do is to point out, no, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? So take bhogartha. Okay, it is for the enjoyment of human beings. All right. On the surface, it looks like, yeah. How long will it go on? Is there an end to this? Because the bhoga means enjoyment, is by nature has an end. When you feel fulfilled after a food, is that forever? 2 hours, 3 hours max. Then you become hungry again. So then you eat again. So this is what it is. Bhogartha means that we eat like 2 or 3 times a day for the rest of your life. Does that lead anywhere? So the bhogartham has no end point. Now let's look at sports. How long are you play sports? There comes a point where, and this is what happens when you become old, you cannot play sports. You are become very old. Imagine a 90-year-old playing soccer. Foolish. Forget about playing soccer. You are not even interested in watching soccer. This is happening to me. Has happened for a while. I remember my sons and I, we were very excited to go to the Giants games. From the very beginning, baseball. And it was a fun time for all of us to be together. Nowadays, my younger son, he's now taking his 2 kids to the Giants, and she'll say, "Dad, I've got tickets. Can you please come and join us?" And I'll say, "You know what? Not only do I not go to the Giants games, I don't even watch it on television. At the very most, I can feel 12, 15 games of 49ers, but that's the end of it. I cannot watch games that many times. So you cannot, there is an end point where you're no longer interested. Is that what you want to do? So there is a defect in these kinds of thinking in all of them. So Swami Akhandananda says that it is for an understanding when we discuss the defects in all the other schools of thought, it is not to correct them. Let them do what they want to do. It is to correct your own thinking about yourself. So when we do Purva Paksha Siddhanta, it is really meant for yourself. I remember this when I came back from teaching, and I made some friends, and they came to my house, and we used to have a class in this room, it's in this house itself, and we used to have that. And then slowly people say, "Ah, this is interesting," and so on. So one of them, a couple of them said, you know, there is an interreligious conference where the Hinduism is not represented. There's a Christian, there's an Islam, there's a Buddhist, and so on. And they don't find anybody that can really talk about, can you please join us? So I said, I'll be happy to. Sure. So I accepted a couple of invitations right here in the Palo Alto area. I think there was some church and they used to have an interreligious, I forget, conclave or something like that. After going there twice, I said, I am not coming back. It's just pointless. Why? Because no one was really interested in your viewpoint. When you were talking, they were thinking, how do I, how do I find their mistakes so that I can talk about my viewpoint? And the people who were sitting there also never really asked any meaningful questions. It was just pointless. I said, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to convince anybody to, and I can't, for all the reasons we mentioned. Anyway, Swami Akhandananda and all Swami Dayanandji also, and all say, you remember that so well in the PRC course, he used to say, the reason we are studying all the Purva Paksha and Siddhanta is for yourself, not for anybody else. So there, then the defects are summarized in the last one. Aptakamasya kaspriha. Svabhavoyam. So this we will briefly examine next class. And with that, we will have finished the Srishti Vichara and will begin the Chaturtha step, the fourth step, as a preparation for the seventh mantra, Antah Pragyana, Bahish Pragyana, etc. So that's where we are going. So with that, let me close today's class. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. All right, let's see who's here. Good. Nice. Nice to have you. Gayatri Juluru. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure that I can do this, but Gayatri, if you're listening to me, just take my email address, Vijay, Vijay, Kapoor with a double O, Kapoor, all one word, Vijay Kapoor, at gmail.com. So please send me, and I'll be very happy to send you the email for the retreat. Zarina, I did not see your registration because I just looked at the registration list. There's about 32 people that have already registered, and I didn't see your name, and I know you had a question, so you may want to redo that. I know you're coming, but I just talked about that. Krishna Birru, haven't seen you for a while. Happy to see you in the class, and make sure you come to the retreat. All right, if there's no other points, then I will be happy to see you next week. Hari Om.